Now here's the most important part of that story. It didn't start in a lab. It didn't start with a researcher. It didn't start with a whiteboard or a grant proposal. It started with you. With an affiliate who cared enough and was bold enough to ask a big question. Anyone, a scientist, a peer, a partner, an affiliate, can forever change how 4Life approaches research. Your questions matter. Your curiosity matters. Your challenges matter. Because when you ask big questions, you pull big ideas into this world. So keep asking, keep pressing, keep challenging us, keep moving the science forward. Your curiosity doesn't just inspire us, it has the potential to shape the future of 4Life research for decades to come. Now, 4Life scientists launched this multi-year discovery effort, a global search through more than 15,000 plants from environments as diverse as the threats that they face. Leaves, stems, flowers, fruits, every part was examined, tested, and studied. Now, picture this. Lab benches crowded with laden samples, microscopes glowing throughout the night, whole plants arriving from the deserts of Africa, the jungles of Asia and South America, the coniferous forests of Europe, all the way to the prairies of North America. Each plant was given a botanical classification, segmented into its various parts, then extracted and screened for immune activity. Each result was compared directly to existing transfer factor. Rigor, repeatability, peer-reviewed readiness, or it wasn't included into the next phase. And one pattern emerged. One plant part mattered most. Any guesses? The seed. Seeds are the beginning of life. They are the carrier of memory. They are the vessel of survival. If immune protection is passed on in plants, like it is in mammals and in birds, then the seed is where it lives. Our focus narrowed to seeds rich in peptides that showed transfer factor-like activity. And after years of work, one seed family rose above all others: brassica seeds. Seeds have always stood for protection. Ancient cultures honored them. And today, we safeguard the world's most valuable seeds in the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, humanity's biological backup drive. Deep inside a mountain in Norway, the Seed Vault was designed to safeguard the genetic foundation of our food supply against uncertainty, disruption, and time. Now think about this. A seed must be able to endure extremes. It must be able to remain dormant and then yet still awaken just when the conditions are right. That kind of resilience is intentional. It's deeply instructive. Let's take a look.
So this is like the world's most important freezer.
It is, really. The most important room in the world, someone has said.
These are pretty big claims for a place located just 1,300 kilometers or 800 miles from the North Pole. But then, this is no ordinary place. It's the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Well, actually, this is just its front door.
Inside the Seed Vault are a series of tunnels. It's not actually that cold right here, but as we go deeper, it is only going to get colder. This is Bente. You're an engineer, Bente?
Yes, I am.
You gonna show us where to go?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Next door.
How many doors are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doors until we are into the secret room.
5 doors to the secret room. Whoa, that's what I'm talking about. These are the lengths of tunnel that take you down into the sea vault.
This facility was built to last around 200 years and withstand earthquakes and explosions. It was placed on the side of a mountain, so even if all the ice on Earth melts, it will still be above sea level. This place is sometimes called the Doomsday Vault because even in a worst-case scenario, it should preserve the diversity of the world's food crops.
Really in the mountain, surrounded by permafrost. And here's a cross tunnel that leads to 3 vault doors. Vault number 1 is up there. Vault number 2, and this is the one that's actually being used. And then vault number 3. It's pretty amazing to look up and see ice-covered ceilings and walls everywhere. The Svalbard Global Sea Vault works essentially like a bank vault.
Because the seeds lay in boxes like this. These boxes are sealed when they come to Svalbard, and none of us can open it. We put it to the security system of the airport just to check that it isn't any explosives or anything in it. But it's working. It works like a bank box. So we can't open this. Only the depositor can open and take out their seeds.
So you don't open any of the seeds, any of the boxes that come in?
No.
This is the door of the vault, and behind here there are nearly 1 million different varieties of seeds from all over the world, kept at minus 18 degrees Celsius. And see behind you we have some Canadian seeds, which is exciting for me because I am Canadian. So what sort of things do we have from Canada?
I'm really not sure because this box on the outside doesn't tell what is in it. But these numbers here are connected to a database on the internet, so you can go in there afterwards.
There you go.
Yeah,
You're going to find out.
You can find out
What has Canada got stored in the seed vault? What are we looking at right here?
Yeah.
Over the last 13,000 years, we have cultivated millions of species of plants. The agricultural revolution underpinned the technological and population explosions that made our modern lives possible. The risk of a real doomsday scenario is incredibly remote. But whatever happens, thanks to this outpost at the top of the world, at least our seeds are safe.
I love that video because it helps us understand in a clear way the importance of seeds. Oh, and as a side note, you remember that part in the video about the seeds from Canada? Well, I looked it up, and do you know what seeds are in those boxes from Canada? Brassica seeds. Nearly 20,000 brassica seed samples. So, but why are seeds resilient? Because a seed must be ready for anything. Cold, heat, drought, disease, the unexpected. It is engineered to endure, to wait, to outlast chaos until that moment where the conditions are right. And inside every seed is more than just stored energy. There is genetic memory. There are protective cues. There are molecular instructions built to persist across generations. Plants don't just defend themselves, they program resilience into their offspring. And so what happens when scientists analyze these brassica seeds? They uncover dozens of peptides, many in the same molecular weight range as known transfer factors. And then, using advanced sequencing tools, they compare these plant-derived peptides with those found in colostrum and in egg yolk. The results were remarkable. Clear, meaningful biosimilarity. Not identical, but structurally and functionally aligned in ways that matter for immune signaling across kingdoms, across geological time, across hundreds of millions of years. Nature kept returning those same protective motifs. Not by accident, not by coincidence, but because survival follows patterns that transcend species. It's as if the blueprint for survival was written once, long before humans, and woven like a thread through every living thing. Call it evolution, call it intelligent design, whatever name you give it. These immune peptides weren't just similar in theory, they were aligned in ways that matter. Aligned in structure, aligned in function, aligned in purpose. And remember, animals can run from danger, plants cannot. A plant must face every pathogen, every storm, every climate shift from exactly where it stands. No retreat, no escape, just relentless biological resilience. Under ruthless evolutionary pressure, plant immune systems became constantly active, broad spectrum, highly efficient, lightning fast. Every challenge refined them, which raises an extraordinary possibility. If plants have endured hundreds of millions of years of intense selection, adapting, strengthening, optimizing, then plant-based transfer factor may carry one of the most resilient, evolution-tested forms of immune intelligence that nature has ever produced. So up to now, we've talked about discovery. We've talked about seeds, we've talked about survival. But discovery is only the beginning. The real question is, what happens when that ancient plant intelligence meets the human immune system? What happens when immune knowledge refined by time, stress, danger, and adaptation enters a modern world full of unprecedented challenges? To see what this looks like at a cellular level, here's footage from a living cell study, visual evidence of how these peptides influence immune communication in real time. What you are about to see is not mythology, it's not speculation, it is evidence. This video will bring that science to life, showing plant-based transfer factor in action, not as an idea, but as a measurable influence on immune communication. And as you watch, keep this in mind. Nature already wrote the instruction manual. We are simply learning how to read it.
Every day, your body's immune system faces health threats. From the fast pace of modern life to the invisible challenges all around us. When left unchecked, those threats can spread fast. But what if there was a way to support your body's defenses, to flatten the health threat curve? That's where 4-Life Phytofactor comes in. Plant-powered support engineered by nature to help your body's immune system stay active, balanced, and at the ready. Under a laboratory microscope, you can actually see and count the number of health threats. In one experiment, the health threats multiply unchallenged. But in another experiment, the threats stop spreading and begin to die. The red cells you see here are the dead health threats, neutralized by an immune system supported with 4-Life Phytofactor. What does this tell us about a plant-based transfer factor? It works together with our immune system to flatten the health threat curve. Because when your immune system is educated and activated, you're ready to take on life's ups and downs.
And this discovery doesn't just fit the modern world, it improves it. Plant-based transfer factor comes from brassica seed cake, a byproduct of vegetable oil production. That means we're not taking more from the earth, we are elevating what would have once been discarded. With gentle processing to preserve peptide integrity and maintain immune functionality, we support sustainability without sacrificing science. This is immune science aligned with modern values. Now remember, nature has been solving immune challenges for hundreds and millions of years. But plants didn't publish papers, they didn't run clinical trials, they only had one task, and that was to
반갑습니다.
survive. By studying seeds, the original guardians of life, we have uncovered a new way to
여기는
support
미국
immune
유타주예요.
communication. Plant-based, sustainable, rooted in ancient biological wisdom. Take a moment to learn about the real-world science of phytofactor and discover how the genetic code for resilience and survival is written into these immune peptides.
So here out in the prairies, Brassica napus is quite a plastic plant because not only do we get a lot of production of the seeds from the main stem, which we can follow all the way up here, right up to this top one, but we get a lot of auxiliary branches as well. That all of these are producing flowers, which will eventually turn into pods, and that's where we're going to find the seeds. So what's really nice is we can kind of follow the life cycle of the plant here, where we have all these flowers starting out that are going to get fertilized by either the wind or bees, and then as we follow down, as it gets fertilized, it starts turning into these little pods, and then inside these pods, as they develop, are going to start filling up with seeds, and that's going to be where we find all of that goodness hiding inside. Now, across the prairies, growers definitely have some challenges with this crop. We find that it's not all sunshine and flowers, but there's actually some insects and pathogens that, can reduce yields, reduce production, and overall also reduce profitability for growers. So what's really nice about this crop is that it's actually quite resilient, and the fact that it is able to adapt to whatever kind of growing stress it's at. Oftentimes this is, drought stress, water stress, even heat. But not only that, but if you say it has feeding by an insect, it's able to, throw out more shoots, more branches, increase the leaf area, and also, inside it, sometimes the chemicals, be able to provide a little bit more tolerance to that as well. So when we're taking a look at, diseases and insects, it definitely does a good job of protecting against itself, but growers always love to help kind of bring it along to that finish line. Okay, so right now we're kind of in this field. It's essentially what we call this full bloom, and blooming of Brassica napus would take about maybe 4 weeks or so here in Canada. So right now, call it another 2-3 weeks, and this is going to start turning into this nice bushy plant that we found that's a little bit more mature. And this is a nice bushy plant full of pods, and right now we don't see any flowers on that because each of them has turned into a pod. Now if we were to pull one of these little pods off, we can split it open and we start to see these seeds starting to form. So as the season progresses, each of these is going to be pulling up all the moisture and nutrients inside it, and it's going to be creating all that oil and protein that everyone is able to use and utilize. This is the finished product of our Brassica napus seed. This is what comes out of the grower's combine and gets stored into the bins and then gets taken to the crushers. So we see it's usually dark, but we see a little bit of brown kind of color in there as well. This seed can vary in color. There's no difference in quality in that sense. What's really interesting, it's very hard, it's very firm. So we have, a very hard seed coat, but inside this is full of oil. Usually it varies between 40, maybe 42% oil. And then the rest is, other kinds of carbon, like, your meal and also your proteins as well. So when we crush this, we can get, a good chunk of oil of what's left over still, especially in cold press purposes. There's still a bit of residual oil and there's a lot of that protein. And that's where there's a lot of nutrition involved. So in cold pressed, you're usually not using high heat and you're not using solvent. And heat and solvent, like with many things, can potentially degrade your end products, right? And so with Brassica mavis, we may see that there are particular nutritional traits, proteins that could degrade using heat or solvents. And so if we want to preserve that, then we have to stick with cold pressed option or potentially other novel extraction technologies that preserve those functional traits. We also have the protein, or we call that the meal, which is full of goodness inside of it. What we've been doing for a number of years now is actually found out that it's a really good dietary supplement or a substitution in diets for livestock, say as like dairy cattle. And we've had some recent research that actually shows that by having meal inside a dairy cow's diet, it actually increases milk production by about 1 liter per day. Some other recent research we're finding out too now is that not only for say dairy cattle or livestock, in other areas such as growing Atlantic salmon in aquaculture, we can find that this actually has some immune system properties for that as well.
We have been working on this for about 5 years. We had no idea that we were going to end up here.
Yeah.
We were just looking for another source of transfer factor, a different source. And we had this question that one of our affiliates asked us, is there such a thing as vegan transfer factor? Because our current transfer factor comes from cows and chickens.
Yeah.
So vegetarian and not vegan. And that made us really pause and think, well, is there transfer factors in plants? Are there these special proteins and peptides that have immune benefits in plants? And so that set us up on this quest, this discovery effort, where we were looking at hundreds of different plants to try to find out, is it possible?
And when you think about it too, when we're thinking about when is the immune system most critical? It's when it's young, it's when it's a small seedling. And that seedling needs to grab that immune system from somewhere, and that's the seed.
When it's incredible, right? It's moments like this that remind us why we look deeper. Not to outsmart nature, but to learn from it. And here's the most extraordinary part. For a long time, we thought our job was to invent the future of immune health. But it turns out that our first responsibility is much simpler, yet also much harder. And that is to listen. Seeds have been speaking the language of survival for hundreds of millions of years. Today, we didn't rewrite that language. We simply learned to read it carefully enough to translate plant intelligence into human support. Written into these immune peptides that endure heat, cold, drought, danger, and time. And when that code meets the human immune system, something powerful happens. Signaling clarifies, readiness rises, resilience becomes a practice habit instead of a lucky break. This is Vital Factor. Not a shortcut, not a slogan, a disciplined way to partner with the oldest protected wisdom on earth. So here is my ask. Bring us the next question that changes the direction of For Life Research. Because the next chapter of immune science won't be written in labs alone. It will be written by all of us, scientists, partners, a community that refuses to accept good enough when stronger is possible. We have opened a code. Now, let's use it together to help people stay ready for a world that never stops testing them. The story of survival continues, and starting now, we step into authorship. This entire afternoon, we have taken a deep dive in For Life Sciences in the extraordinary impact that modern research and innovation have on human health, in particular the immune system. We've heard powerful insights from my colleagues about the state of transfer factor research. And with our newest breakthrough, our plant-based phytofactor immune peptide, we are witnessing one of the most significant advancements in immune system science in more than 70 years. Now let's take a moment to appreciate what we're part of. 4Life continues to lead the way in health and wellness, innovation for today and for all the tomorrows ahead. But health sciences, like everything else, have an origin story. Long before labs, long before clinical trials, the world's first formulators were traditional healers. They observed nature, experimented with plants, and shared remedies across families and communities. Every one of us comes from a lineage that carried for one another using nature's wisdom passed down through generations. And so where do we take this technology? Well, to help me answer that question, I am pleased now to welcome my colleague, Dr. Brent Vaughn, Senior Vice President of Research and Development, who will be sharing the science behind our newest product, Transfer Factor Max, and how it supports immune response at a cellular level. Please give me a warm welcome to Dr. Brent Vaughn.
Hello, guys. Are we excited about Phytofactor? Phytofactor is the core of everything we're doing at convention this year. And it starts off with a product that I'm privileged to talk a little bit about. But before we go any further, I want to start a little different. Have you ever wondered how our science looks from the outside when it's not us telling the story? This gives you a pretty good glimpse. A local news team at KUTV recently spent time with our work and what we've been building. Let's take a look.
The following segment is sponsored by 4Life. This past year, we had 4Life Chief Scientific Officer Dr. David Vollmer on air to announce the company's discovery of plant-based transfer factor. And in September, Senior Vice President of Marketing Kelly Belrose joined us to talk about Phytofactor, the name of the company's newly discovered ingredient. It's been a party with 4Life. We love this so much. And finally today, to round out the series, Senior Vice President of Research and Development, Dr. Brett Vaughn, joins us to talk about 4Life Transfer Factor Max. Dr. Vaughn, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Okay, what are the major advancements behind this product? This is so exciting.
Well, obviously, the first one is, as you mentioned, Phytofactor, a plant-based protein from seeds that helps in supporting the immune system.
Okay, amazing. And what makes Transfer Factor Max better than other products, would you say?
The short answer to that one is clinical research. In addition to thousands of studies that we've looked through to find the ingredients to go into the product, we're also doing 2 human clinical trials on this product, one covering immune system stem cells, and the other one looking at a type of immune cell called a neutrophil.
Okay, and now can you give us more details on these 2 studies, specifically about the stem cells and neutrophils?
Sure, so immune stem cells, as you're probably aware, are kind of the beginnings of any immune cell. So they have the capability of becoming any immune cell.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, immune stem cells are how the immune system goes through the repair and rejuvenation and replacement process as stem cells are lost, or as immune cells are lost. And the neutrophils make up about 50% of all
목요일
of your
새벽입니다.
immune system. They are by far the biggest portion of your immune system. And they are the kind of the first responders to most of your infections. So having strength and activity in neutrophils then pays big dividends in terms of just about every immune response we have.
Yeah, sounds like very important stuff that we need. If people are hearing about 4Life for the very first time, can you kind of tell us what you guys do?
And so we are the immune system company, and so we focus on products that support or strengthen the immune system, and Transfer Factor Max is going to be the best product out there to support a healthy immune system.
Will we take it every day? How will it work?
That's the idea, yes. This will be something you'll take every day, mostly because like you and I don't know what's going to happen throughout the day, who we're going to come in contact with, what we're going to be exposed to. And so by helping to support that immune system on a daily basis, you give yourself the best chance of being able to deal with whatever it is you come in contact with.
I love that. Just take it in the morning because you never know what the day's going to bring.
Yep.
That's great, doctor. And why would you say that For Life stands out from other companies? Like, what is the best part about you guys?
I think the answer to that one is probably the same as the previous question. It's clinical research.
Yeah.
We have been founded on the idea of research that's in the name of the company. And in addition to spending many weeks and months looking through what's been done by others, we take the time and money to do the research on our products ourselves.
Sure. People like know that it's scientifically backed, that there's proof with the research. Where can we go for more information, doctor?
Well, the best place to go is to the company website, forlife.com.
Okay, amazing. Thanks for joining me today. Great to see you.
My pleasure. I promise you that last little bit is the shortest version of my job description you're ever going to get. What you just saw is a public-facing side of something we've been working on for a very long time. Now it's time to take you into the laboratory. In the next few minutes, I want to take you inside the science of Transfer Factor Max. What we built, why we built it, and what our latest controlled human data is now beginning to show us. And before we go any further, I want to say something up front. Immune science is complex. It's dynamic. In some ways, it's beautifully messy. So if parts of what I share today feel dense on the first pass, that's okay. This is kind of science that rewards patience, reflection, and review. Of course, you're welcome to visit us in the store to ask any questions you have about this, anything I don't explain very well. My goal is not for you to memorize the details today, but to walk away with a clear sense of why this product matters and how confidently we understand what it's doing. This formulation represents the most advanced stage of our transfer factor platform to date. It's the result of decades of refinement, classic, plus, advanced, trifactor, and now max. Each generation didn't replace the one before it. Each one added capability. What Transfer Factor Max represents is focus, bringing everything we've learned into a formulation designed to do three things exceptionally well. From the beginning, we asked ourselves a simple question. If we could prioritize only the most meaningful immune outcomes, what would they be? We landed on three. First, we wanted to support the mobilization of millions of early immune stem cells, starting with the very first dose. These cells are not effector immune cells. They do not directly participate in immune response. Instead, they function as replacement immune cells, replenishing cells lost during immune activity. Once mobilized to sites of immune demand, they differentiate into mature, functional immune cells that sustain ongoing immune capacity. Second, we wanted broad influence, not narrow activation. Across our research programs, we've evaluated nearly the entire immune landscape. With Transfer Factor Max, we're seeing engagement across roughly 90% of immune cell classes we track. That matters, because real immune function is coordinated, not sliced. Third, we wanted speed, not weeks, not months, but fast, same-day support with measurable changes emerging within 2 hours or less after intake. Depth, breadth, and speed. Those three ideas guided every formulation decision. Transfer factor max brings together dual source transfer factor signals, animal and plant, within a modern immune support framework grounded in current evidence. This is not a departure from our roots. It is, in many ways, a distillation of them. At the center are the fundamentals: inclusion of vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. A reordering of mushrooms based upon current research, and a clinically studied dose of IP6. All of this anchored by 900 milligrams of transfer factor peptides. 600 milligrams of trifactor derived from colostrum and egg yolk, and 300 milligrams of phytofactor extracted from the brassica seeds that Dr. Vollmer talked about. Trifactor reflects nature's original immune education, signals passed from parent to offspring at the very beginning of life. Phytofactor brings in plant-based readiness signals, faster, more immediate, and complementary. Two biological languages, one immune system. Let's talk briefly on how immune stem cells move through the body. Immune stem cells, like the rest of your immune system, are born in the bone marrow. They circulate continuously through the blood and tissues. They change state, quiet, alert, mobilizing, responding, sometimes within hours. Because of that constant motion, peripheral blood turns out to be a very reliable place to track immune readiness over time. This is why we focus on single cell analysis, why we measure at early time points, and why changes seen within hours are not just meaningful, but expected if something is truly supporting immune readiness. In our randomized, placebo-controlled crossover study with participants who had never used transfer factor before, we collected blood at baseline, 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours after intake. Using a technique called flow cytometry, a way of looking at individual cells, we observed 3 consistent patterns. An increase in circulating early immune cells consistent with mobilization of stem cell-derived defenses. Elevated readiness markers across a broad spectrum of immune cell types, reflecting wide immune coverage. Clear same-day effects emerging within the first 2 hours. In plain terms, transfer factor max helped move the immune system toward a state of increased readiness, and it did so quickly. Not overstimulation, not confusion, but coordinated preparedness. And when you understand how the immune system actually works, that distinction matters. We recognize that immune science doesn't always lend itself to simple sound bites. But with careful study, consistent patterns emerge and confidence grows. Transfer factor max mobilizes millions of early immune stem cells, beginning with the first dose. It engages approximately 90% of immune cell landscape that we have studied. It acts within 2 hours or less in controlled human testing. It combines animal and plant-derived transfer factor signals in a single coordinated formula. It represents the most refined and focused expression of our transfer factor platform to date, backed by 3 human clinical studies. To take this picture one step further into a critical first responder immune cell type, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sergei Boychuk, who will share our newest findings on neutrophils and our newest clinical study. He's a professor and head of the Department of Kazan State Medical University, and he was our head researcher for the development of transfer factor max. Please welcome Dr. Boychuk.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Walker, for that excellent introduction to transfected max, and the concept of the immune system education. It's a pleasure for me to be here to continue that discussion by sharing the results of our recent clinical study and to examine how this formula affects one of the most essential defense mechanisms in the body, the activity of neutrophils. What the neutrophils are, what do they do, why we need them. As many of you know, neutrophils are the central to the innate immune system. This is the first line of the defense, and this is the body first responder network. They're acting very rapidly, they're acting non-specifically, and they are constantly on duty. When pathogens enter the body, neutrophils are among the first cells to react. And they do so having many molecules inside, right? So first, they can literally engulf the pathogens and completely digest the pathogens inside. They can kill the pathogens on a distant mode by releasing the very important and powerful enzymes, and this process is named degranulation. And the striking thing is that also can make a net composed of DNA and proteins, and they trapping and immobilizing pathogens. So each of these functions play the critical role in halting infections long before the body developed the second line of defense, which is specific to the pathogen. And our goal of this study was pretty much straightforward: to determine whether full-life transfected mags could enhance the functional activity of neutrophils across adult of varying ages during the short 3 days period. And we measured the activity of neutrophils by using multiple assays which are specific to neutrophils. And one of these assays shown here, which is named the respiratory burst. So this assay represents very rapid release of the active molecules that neutrophils use to destroy bacteria, viruses, and other potential threats. And what we see during this study was very clear and very exciting. When we stimulated the neutrophils from the participants in vitro, the addition of transfected mags led to the significant increase of the respiratory burst activity. In fact, the activity of these cells, the cells that have been already stimulated, nearly doubled when the formula was introduced. That means that under the conditions on our study, in our hands, transfected mags effectively amplify the natural antimicrobial activity of neutrophils, enhancing their ability to respond quickly and potently to potential threats. And this is meaningful because neutrophils play a very important role not only in the early immune defense, but they effectively coordinate the functions of the immune system. They've been involved in a wide type of processes, for example, tissue repair, even in cancer immunity. And increase of the activity suggests a stronger frontline protection and more efficient early responses to everyday immune challenge. Importantly, what we have seen that